Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of Inside the Paintballers studio. Today I am with a gentleman. It's very hard to compare to other because he's been doing this game in a big way and for a very long amount of time and has affected it significantly. He is a legend within himself. He is an excellent paintballer, of which people don't get a chance to see enough of. And he is also a good friend, a mentor, and a man you should all look up to. Can I please say thank you for coming, Mr. Kerry? No, I'm just gonna call you Viper. You're like Prince, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How
Good, outstanding. How are things?
They're good. They're
Yeah.
busy. You know, this is the crazy time of year.
It
The
is.
Living Legends going on, and that's pretty all engulfing as far as my life goes.
Okay.
The closer it gets to this, the more this just becomes the focus. I get up and it's Living Legends all day, and I go to bed and dream of Living Legends, and then I get up the next morning and do Living Legends, and it all culminates when I finally get here.
Yes, sir. This is number 9
Yeah.
at CPX. Have you been in it since the beginning?
Yeah, as soon as it was actually Sean Scott, Craig Miller, and Paul Dagnino that kind of came up with the idea, and as soon as they actually kind of fleshed it out, decided they were moving forward, Sean Scott had called me, and he told me what they were doing. I was like, oh my God, that's going to be amazing. He said, well, it's going to be this year. And we want you to do it. I went, oh, well, okay. And I started looking at my schedule, and I've got my big April event that I do every year, and at the time I was doing another field in May as well. And just to already be into the year and try to cram that in, I knew that I wouldn't be able to put the proper focus on it that I would want to and feel confident about the product having my name on it. So I talked to Sean. I said, look, you know, I don't think I can throw it together that quick and have it be what we all want it to be. But what if we did this? I said, Wayne Dollick is ultimately the guy where all of the scenario paintball came from. He was the first traveling promoter. You know, he was the guy on our team that was really the push and the brains behind launching the entire scenario paintball genre. So I said, why don't I talk to Wayne and see if he wants to co-produce? We've done it before. As far as I know, I'm the only person that's co-produced events with Wayne.
Okay.
Since he went pro and launched his company. And so I called him, and he said, yeah, that sounds like a cool thing. So we ended up doing Living Legends 1 together, co-produced by myself and Wayne Dollick.
Okay.
And you know, it was fun, but he's gotten where he doesn't travel and things anymore, and he had already reached that point. So, you know, we did it the first year, and he said, you know, that was cool, it was fun, and it was great being part of it. And he kind of stepped aside, and then, you know, having it on my schedule, knowing it was coming up, I was able to concentrate on it, and I've done it on my own since then. Of course, with, you know, the help of a small army of people, because this isn't something that one person does on their own.
Not at
There's
all.
a lot of people involved in making something like this
Not a
happen.
small undertaking at all.
No.
Let's escape the paintball world for a while. Where did a young Kerry Rosenberry grow up?
I grew up in Florida, in Calla, where
That makes
it always comes back to paintball, because it's where scenario paintball was born. Was
pretty
Ocala.
much, yeah. And
Graduated Forest High School in Ocala.
nice. Wow. Like when I went to Ocala, that was literally your home grounds.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Right up the road from where Wayne's World is. If you go back towards town, there's a road that angles off, and if you go up there about 2 miles over a hill, I lived on the left-hand side.
Did you grow up with mom and dad?
Yeah.
Who were they?
Kent and LeVay Rosenberry.
What did Kenton go into?
My dad always worked for himself. For the most part, I mean, there were some things he did here and there, but he did construction contracting, he did tile contracting, had a swimming pool company. With the years I was in high school, built swimming pools.
Okay. So I see where the entrepreneur spirit comes
Yeah,
from. Yeah,
very much so. He really kind of lit that fire in me.
Okay.
And my mom was just, she's almost like a 50s TV show, Leave It to Beaver kind of
Really?
mom. You know, took care of Dad. Dad and I were kind of the center of her world. She really didn't go out and make a whole lot of friends.
Old school June Cleaver.
Pretty much.
That's hard to
Cooked
find
and
nowadays.
took care of us and made sure that we had a happy home.
That's beautiful. Brothers, sisters?
No. I was actually
Single child?
I was actually adopted as a baby. Everything was set into motion before I was born.
Okay.
And I was adopted at birth. And everybody has a different outlook on things, but I've always known I was adopted. My parents chose that path and decided to take that approach, so I can't remember when I didn't know.
Okay.
But I always knew that I was loved. They were my mom and dad.
It's a big thing.
I didn't have that missing weird hole that some people do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's related to kids who find out later in life and then they're shocked and then there's all this missing stuff or something,
and then
or
you have
what.
that trust
But
issue and the whole other.
I mean, I don't know. I know that I've always known I was adopted. I always knew I was loved. I've always identified with them. People would say I looked like my dad. They were my mom and dad.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. High school, was it? Did you do
A lot of drama.
sports or, okay.
A lot of drama and English things. I graduated with
drama as in acting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I graduated with enough English credits to graduate like 3 or 4 times over because of drama. I was in newspaper, I did photography, a lot of different things that are all basically English credits.
Yes,
So
sir. Well,
I
that
was
would
more into that than the
explain.
math. I wasn't big on the math. The
Okay.
math was something you had to do, and I did it, and I passed. But the English and writing and drama and all of that was more.
Well, that would
really
explain your
embraced.
creativity then.
I think so.
Your ability to create these events that you do, and your in-depth knowledge of just coming up with those storylines and stuff like that. Like that's very, very. Oh, not also mention a very vast education on Monty Python within itself.
Yeah,
Which is something not a lot of Americans have. So.
Well, that's kind of a funny one. I blame my dad and Monty Python for how odd my sense of humor is, because we discovered Monty Python's Flying Circus during the summer when I think I was probably 14 or 15.
Wow.
And it would come on public TV on like Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:30 at night or something for a half hour.
The safe
and
hour.
We discovered that and was just like, oh my God, this is the best ever. So then school came around and it was like, oh my God, I can't watch anymore because I can't stay up that long. And my dad saw the opportunity and said, okay, if you do all your homework and you eat your dinner, you go to bed when you're supposed to, and all the list of good boy things, I'll come in and get you up and we can watch that.
No
so
way.
either Tuesday or Thursday, once a week. So you take a child who's been asleep for a few hours, and then when he's nice and impressionable, jerk him out of bed and set him in front of Monty
and expose
Python
him to
for
the
30
house
minutes,
of silly walks.
and then put him back to bed. And you get me.
How do you expect? You can't write that in a book. That's hilarious. Yes, we're gonna have you watch this skit about killing mosquitoes with rifles and then put you right back to sleep again. That's outstanding. That's a lot within itself. How did you discover this paintball stuff?
A friend of mine named Jimmy McFeeters out in Ocala, he had a couple of paintball pistols and some paintballs, and he was one of those guys, young guy that tries something and gets tired of, tries something else, gets tired of. He tried it. Apparently he didn't really get into it, but it was just running around with a buddy in the woods. He was like, well, hey, want to buy these? I said, what are they? He told me. Sure. And they had little Yvette shop goggles. I mean, this is the late 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I called a buddy of mine, and we literally went right across the street into some empty woods and chased each other around for a while and shot each other. Like, well, it's kind of cool, but man, it'd be a lot more fun with more people. So made some phone calls to some sporting goods stores because there was no internet back then. finally got a hold of one, and they gave me a phone number, and I called, and it was a place called Survival Zone.
Oh, wow.
In Ocala. I had moved from Ocala and moved over to Crystal River.
Okay.
So happened to be in Ocala, so back to Ocala. Me and my buddy went over there, and we played for the first time with those people, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is it. Immediately came home, and I got magazines from them. They had some old paintball magazines. I brought them home, and I'm going through, found an I&I Sports ad.
Oh, wow. Goodness gracious.
Bought a Brass Eagle Nightmare. I can't remember what they called the model, but it was long barrel, but it had a short barrel pump, so it almost looked like a shotgun, and you could go from, it just went from there. And that I ended up later being invited to join Marians Raiders, which was the team that ran it, which was Wayne Dollick and Lenny Dennis, Diane Howe, and Dave Proctor, and all of these people who all came together. We used to play tournaments, and back then tournament was still expensive.
Yes, sir.
And they had 2 15-man teams plus 6 or 8 alternates. And like I can remember, we would order cases of paint, and we'd order like 3 cases of paint for the whole team.
Yeah.
And then everybody had their 10-round tubes, and we'd get ours, how much we had chipped in for.
Yes.
Because 10-round tubes, I mean, you had 6 or 8 of those, that lasted you a couple of days of playing.
Pretty much, yeah, that's hilarious.
Then we started looking for ways to offset the cost of going to play tournaments. And at one of the team meetings, it came up, what if we had a long, continuous game? And what if there was like a story behind it?
Nice.
And we had people that were into Dungeons and Dragons. Dave Proctor used to play Axis and Allies on the big, huge table with the tanks and the armies and stuff.
Setting up tables and moving tanks around, and you guys having that vision to create long, big games with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. What does that entail? Like, out of scratch? Well, that was the thing.
I mean, there was nothing like it.
Yeah.
So we talked about, they could be submissions, and the first couple of ones they were just like a down pilot thing. They were at night.
Yeah.
Night Survival. I think Night Survival was the first, and then Longest Night was the second.
Wow.
And
sounds so cool.
We had people showing up, and they're like, wow, this is great. It's like, well, what if we went during the day? And it felt like all weekend. So then I think the first one was the hunt for Che Guevara.
Oh, wow.
And a bunch of the core people, I think Lenny was Che Guevara, and we were in charge of moving him around the field and keeping him alive while the game went on. So there were the 2 major teams, plus there's the group of bodyguards with Che Guevara.
Okay.
And so, I mean, this had really never been done before. We'd gone all day Saturday, and it was into Saturday night. And we got up north into the field, and we sat down, and everybody said, well, let's rest a little while. I think we're probably safe here. And next thing you know, we woke up, and Dave Proctor was snoring like a chainsaw. And I'm up against a fallen log, and I'm like, and I look over at him, and then I look around, and we're all laying there. And I don't know if you've ever slept on the bare ground at night.
It's not.
But it sucks all the heat out of you, and you feel like a dead
wake up and it's
corpse.
not.
And where I'm like, hey, wake up. We look, it's like 3:30 in the morning. We'd all just fallen asleep out there with our masks on and everything.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, that was the first 24-hour game, and it kept evolving from there. The mission things, and that's where Wayne Dollick scenarios came from. We ran them as a team because it was a team-run field. The fellow that owned the field also did martial arts, and he blew out his knee and really couldn't play paintball anymore. So we'd run the field, and when we did these, the team would get part of the income from the scenarios, and then the field got part of it.
Yes, sir.
And in return, we also ran the field for regular rec ball and things, and took care of the rental guns and all of that.
Nice.
And
wow.
So then there was a split with the team, and one went more towards tournament and weren't so much into the scenario end, and the other half of us were really into the scenario end of it. So at that point, when the team split up, that was when, and I moved away just before that. I'd moved to Texas.
Yeah.
And so they split up, and that was when Wayne went professional, went independent, and started Wayne Dollick 24-hour scenario games.
Wow.
And started doing his own events. I mean, they happened there for a while.
Yeah,
there were
of course.
a number of events there, but as time progressed, that's where it went. Mm-hmm. And so Wayne stepped out, and he was the first person from the team to become a professional traveling scenario producer.
What did your parents think about, or were they able to experience you in your environment, paintball environment?
They didn't get it at all.
Okay, that makes sense.
My dad saw it as a waste of time because
Yeah.
he didn't. And really, to be honest, I didn't ever see it as something that was going to be a professional career for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just running around having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mom didn't like it because I'd come home with bruises on me. And I bruise easy. If you use harsh language on me, I get a bruise. I don't know what it is. But, you know, I'd come home all marked. I don't even know why you like to do that.
Yeah, we still hear that, trust me.
And, yeah, it makes me sad because my dad passed away in '93, and then I started VIPER scenarios in '96. So he never really got to see me embrace this and turn it into something and be successful and do something that I really loved and make a living at it.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks.
I think
wish
he's
he
still
would've.
seeing you.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. That's a big thing, right? That's a big
Yeah.
thing to want to happen, right? But yeah, I think he's still seeing you. There's a person in your life who allows you to be able to do this thing, and it takes a special type of person to be into this lifestyle and to be a part of this lifestyle. What is your wife's name?
Pam.
Pam is a very understanding lady,
Yeah.
very strong lady, and strong-spoken. What is it like being the wife of VIPER? Is she having to put up with all your crazy gear and ideas and stuff around the house? How does that work?
She's surprisingly, I don't know if I'd say she's embraced it, but she understands it, and she doesn't hinder it in any way. She surprises me all the time. I mean, I guess it was 2 years ago when Bud Orr gave me that replacement autococker body and things on stage for that one that I lost in the fire.
Yes, sir.
I came home with that. She told me, if you want to, you can hang that in the living room. It doesn't go with anything we've got, but she knew that meant
Nice.
something to me.
Yeah.
She knew how important that was. And she does little things like that all the time where it just comes out of left field and I wouldn't expect it.
Yes.
And it's so understanding and
Yeah.
accepting of where I'm at and what I do.
Well, I have to give her credit because there was an epic moment of which we were at the Paint Wars game, and you promised that if we reach a certain amount of players, which was 1,000, that you would cut your magnificent lock of hair off. And from what I remember, she was not too appreciative of that.
No, I got caught up in the moment when I made that promise. And so the ride home and the phone call was pretty long, but I guess it worked out well because by the time I got there, she had kind of accepted it. She wasn't really happy, but she accepted it, and she had plenty of time to get used to the idea of it could happen. But really, even Saturday morning at that event, we were still talking. Me and the field owner were like, yeah, we'll probably end up 900 players.
Yeah.
So she didn't come down. She said, you know, if you think we're going to hit 1,000, I'll come down there with you because I want to be there for it. It's like, I don't think we're going to. She said, well, if it looks like you are, let me know.
Oh.
So Saturday morning, I ended up calling her. I said, yeah, we're probably going to hit that. She said, okay, I'll start making plans to come down. So she came down Saturday morning, and she had told me, she said, oh, if it happens, you know, I'm used to it. It'll be fine. You know, I've accepted this is where we're going now.
Yes.
And then come to find out when they were cutting it, they panned the camera around. And she was shedding a little tear.
I saw that, yeah.
She
I
was
felt
kind of
bad for
embarrassed
helping.
about that.
Yeah. It was, well, it is what it is.
Yeah,
and
we
she's a
laugh about
lovely
it now,
woman. Amazing woman. And it was an honor to meet her. And she backs up one of the biggest guys in the industry, and that's a lot to say. So, Pam, we thank you very much. You and I have something in common, and that is
We're both devastatingly attractive.
really good looking man. Really good looking. I can't stop you there. It's pretty obvious. We have a love for music, and we also used to be DJs back in the day.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
Back
why
when you
we're so
actually
good on
J'd
stage.
Ds.
When they were actually
Discs.
records to spin, you know what I mean? And you actually know the music and
Guys are
could
all
look
now
up an
on
MP3
iPads
and
with little buttons.
we had to carry crates of records
Oh, yeah.
upstairs. You know what I mean? So, you know, these young punks nowadays who, but I think that's part of the reason why we transfer to paintball and on stage somewhat well is to be able to entertain that crowd and to read a crowd and to be able. Did you ever think in your days of doing something like that that this whole paintball thing would become a thing?
Oh, it's funny every time I drive onto the field at any of these events. I mean, especially this one, of course, just because of the scope. But I mean, you know, even 1,000 players in Houston or 500 at Red Strike or you know, whatever. I drive onto the property and I'll look at all the people parked there and the cars, the campers and the tents. And every time I think, you know, it's just crazy. When I was young, if somebody had said, you know, well, someday you're going to do this thing and there's going to be people come from all over the world and spend an entire weekend just to be there and do this thing that you create, I would have thought they were crazy. I never saw myself like that. I mean, the DJ thing, you know, I remember showing up at clubs and you're the DJ and so you're mixing the music and everybody's, come by, buy you a drink. You're kind of the hero in that little building for that little period of time. But to show up at something like this and have this many people go through the effort they do, come as far as they do to spend a weekend there.
That's a big thing.
It's
not only that.
It's humbling.
Not only that, and we both made little names in DJing, but you're a giant in this sport. Like you've inspired thousands to play this game from all over the world. So I think the transition you made was a damn good one. Like there's a lot of people who watch footage of VIPER games and hear about a VIPER game and say, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's nothing to smock at. That's a huge thing right there.
Well, I started as a player and I never stopped looking at it as a player because I never stopped playing.
Yes, sir.
When I go play, I mean, I play because I love playing. That's why I got into it, because I love playing. But every one of those events that I go play is a learning experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so obsessed with starting on time.
Yes, sir.
I've never heard people complain more than when you go to an event, you're out there and you got your gear and you hustled to get out there to be there for the start of the game, and then, well, it was supposed to start. And then 5 minutes later, 45 minutes later, hour and 15 minutes later, you're still waiting. You know, things like that. Every time I go, I try to look around and experience what everybody's experiencing and then see what upsets them and try to make sure I never do that and see what makes them happy.
Let's get to Carrie for a few seconds. You have very interesting pets at home.
Yeah, I kind of live in a zoo.
How is that a thing? What is that? Is that a job? Is that a
here
passion thing?
The funny thing is, and this is how paintball my life is, and how much Pam puts up with.
Yeah.
Every single thing seems to trace back to paintball. We moved up to Northeast Texas from Houston because at the time, the field that I was doing the events at in Houston, the field owner had sold it and some Mormons had taken it over, and Mormons don't do business on Sunday. So I couldn't do scenarios there. So there was a field up in Northeast Texas that I was doing events at from time to time, and it was somewhere to do them that I could call a home field. So I went up and took over this field in Northeast Texas just to do my Texas events at.
Okay.
So we moved up to Northeast Texas, and we met a veterinarian because of our pets we had at the time, and she had zebras and camels and kangaroos and all these crazy animals, and we got to know her, and she raised these little coaties, which are South American or Central American raccoons, real cute little playful animals. Mm-hmm. And we're like, you know, that'd be cool, but I don't know if we'd want to spend the money on getting them, and we've already got pets, and so we never kind of pursued that, but they were right there. Well, then there was a fella in the next town that wanted to open a little paintball field in town, just a small one. I had some airball bunkers that came with the field that I didn't use because trying to be the field owner and the event promoter, I didn't have time to babysit the airball bunkers and put staff on them, make sure they're inflated. He said, well, hey, if you're interested to get rid of those, I'd be interested in buying them. Oh, okay. So we got together and he looked at them. We met at his place. So just about the time we get ready to leave from discussing this deal, he says, oh, honey, did you show him the babies? His wife comes out with baby Cody's.
Oh,
they were raising baby Cody's.
Wow.
Some people call them Cody Mondays or Kawadi Mondays.
Yes.
That's actually a term for a male that lives on its own. The animal is just called a Cody.
Okay.
So, or Kawadi.
Okay.
So she brings out these baby Cody's. And Pam's like, So she hands her a couple of them. They're little bottle babies. They're real
Sold.
cute. Little tails are going.
Yeah.
So she plays with them, and then we get ready to leave. And I said, well, maybe we'll work out a trade instead of cash. Oh, okay. Well, by the time we get home, in about a half-hour drive, the phone rings. And Pam's sitting there, and he said, well, I talked to my wife, and she said she'd give you pick of the litter, a male and a female, for the airball bunkers. Well, before I can even look at Pam, she's overhearing, and she's like,
Are you serious?
We ended up with 2 Codys.
For bunkers?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like I said, everything seems to come back to paintball.
That is hilarious.
So, we had those, and of course then we started taking those to Doc. She's come to find out she's like a nationally known expert on these animals.
Yeah.
So she's our Cody vet, and we're getting to meet her, and now we're working with her a little more. And then Pam finally started kind of volunteering down there and helping out just to learn more about animals, because she's always wanted to work with animals, but her life just never took that direction. So more and more working with her, and then we finally ended up buying a couple of Codys from her.
Yeah.
And then Doc decided she was wanting to get out of the smaller animals and just stick with the zebras and the camels and the bigger animals. So she asked Pam, would you ever be interested in raising these as a career? If you have a mentor like that, that's that knowledgeable and well known in an industry that's willing to just say, here, I'll show you how.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, you
lucked out.
Years later, I live at a zoo. And we've got lemurs and kinkajous and Codys. Got a little pet marmoset. We've got prehensile tail porcupines.
Oh my gosh.
All kind of stuff.
Wow. That's amazing within itself. Like, several lives you're doing.
It's a lot of work, but
yes.
it makes Pam happy, and it's something we do together.
Yes, sir.
And it's entertaining.
I've seen some of the videos. Yes, it is. Will there ever be a VIPER event across the pond?
I don't know. I've come close to doing a bunch of them. There was one point in Australia I was supposed to do one. Where else? There's been a couple of times when it was almost going to happen and then just didn't end up working out. So if there's anything I've learned in this business, it's to never say never.
Yes, sir. I hear that.
But I don't know. I mean, I'd be open to it. I mean, I did Canada, I did Canadian Carnage 3 years.
That's pretty far away.
That got that little international in my
on your resume.
Of my company now.
Yes, sir.
But intercontinental wouldn't be too bad. Went down to Guatemala and set up a paintball field at a resort down there. So
that's cool.
Kind of got intercontinental, but we didn't do a scenario or anything. I just helped them set up paintball at a resort.
Yeah, that's cool though. But I think a lot of people who watch the show, and people in general who live over there, they look over here with awe and say, even though a lot of them do travel over here just for Living Legends and your other events, you never know.
Well,
we can make
that
that
happen. There's games going on across
There's a lot of great games going on. They have no...
the Moscow Big Game.
Yeah, oh my gosh, those people are crazy. I love it.
Well, and Nick Sobolev, that runs the Moscow Big Game, is commanding my Red Strike event in Indiana in August.
Oh, is he really?
So that's going to be kind of cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, how authentic is that?
Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool. He's commanding the Spetsnaz unit.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay.
But,
I'm going to have to make an extra effort then.
But yeah, there's a fella that does, I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. I feel bad. But there's a guy in Great Britain that does some really cool games.
You're probably talking about the Shoreline producer.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
That guy. He does amazing
Tim,
stuff.
is it? I can't remember.
Yeah, Tim Barnett. Is that it?
That sounds very right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good guy.
There's the big thing in France. I mean, there's a lot of really cool events.
They have some very cool events over there. We got to make a road trip.
Yeah.
I want to finish off by asking you a few quick questions, things that come to your head quickly.
Okay.
A little introspective and fun at the same time. And we'll just see what we come up with, have some fun with it. What is your favorite tangible object in the world?
Well, if we're going by rapid fire, first things that come to mind, I guess.
We going to AR or AK?
I'm from Texas. So one of them's one of the ARs I just built.
Oh, nice.
And the other is that autococker body that Kevin Polk and Bud Orr gave me 2 years ago.
Nice.
That's
a hard choice to make between.
That really
Now, when you say you built, we talking like upper receiver, you built the trigger?
All parts. I mean,
Really?
I didn't mill the parts. I mean, I bought
Yeah. You got
all
the parts
your trigger group parts
and
a
customize
lower,
it.
and upper, the bolt carrier group, and the bolt.
How heavy of a trigger do you like? What kind of pull on that?
It's all stock trigger because I
Okay.
like sticking with stuff that's interchangeable.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier.
I don't like
too.
all out of the drop-in triggers
Yeah,
and things.
yeah.
I want to know that if I'm not one of those weird paranoid, praying for the zombie apocalypse.
Who they think
guys.
we all are, you mean? Aren't we all?
I'm very practical.
Yes.
So I don't want something that's very proprietary. So if something went down, it would be just like building a custom paintball marker and coming to a paintball game, and then something
sir.
breaks.
Yeah.
You can't just run over to Tipman and get a new
Yes, sir.
sear spring or something.
Okay.
You've got nothing that works now. So I
Okay.
try to stick with things that are very interchangeable, that if something went wrong, I can just buy a new part, put it back in it, and it's good to go.
Scope or iron sight?
Iron and a red dot.
Okay, nice. Sorry, I'm getting off track here. Sorry. We started talking about this.
Well, it
we'll go
depends
all
on
day.
which one you're talking about, too.
Well,
But the
that's
one-
true too. Yeah, I hear you. What is something you love to hear people say?
I had the best time of my life this weekend.
What is something you hate hearing people say?
I didn't have a good time this weekend.
Makes sense. Something you hear in your environment that is music to your ears.
Hearing all the players stand around and talk about the things that they just did out there during the game, and that gleam in their eye as they tell their buddy who wasn't there to see it, all the cool stuff that they just did.
Yeah.
That's the best thing in the world.
Love that. What is something you love to do other than paintball?
Spending time with Pam, playing with the critters.
Beautiful. What was your worst job you ever had?
Worked for a very short time with a roofing company, stripping roof, because I wasn't skilled enough to put the roof on. I
Yeah.
was still really young, so I was the guy with the flathead shovel stripping the tar paper and popping the nails. And it was summer, and it was hot, and it was Florida.
Oh my
God.
You're the second guy on the show who said that same thing.
That's a hard job. My hat is off to anybody who does roofing for
Yeah,
a living.
I-
That is
I've
some
said the
hard
same
work,
thing.
But
That
you
is-
can't get by without it.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome. What was something that you have gained in life because of paintball?
I don't know exactly how to describe it, and it's not anything tangible, but it's a gift to be able to do something that makes so many people so happy. When they say that this, I've played paintball for 20 years and this is the best fun I've ever had playing paintball, or people that get overexcited and say this is the best time I've ever had in my life. Which, there's more important things that they've done in their life that meant more. But right at that moment, they feel like that's the most fun they've ever had in their life.
Yeah.
It's
It's
amazing.
a valid point sometimes, because being on that hill at Final Battle of Living Legends can be the funnest time you've had in a lot of people. Some people, this is all they got. So when they say that, they can be very authentic with saying it.
I totally realize how many people there are that don't get to experience what it's like to make this many people this happy.
Yes.
Because of something they did.
Yes, sir.
And I never take that for granted.
Yes, sir. I like that. What is something you felt that you've lost or sacrificed because of paintball?
Well, because of what I do, I sacrificed a lot of playing. I don't get to play nearly as much as I'd like to.
Saw you with a gun in your hand once, and I was really surprised.
The surprising thing is when people see me playing, they go, "Holy shit, you can play!"
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I can say that. Sorry.
That's all right.
But,
I got a censorship beep.
But
But yeah.
I went up to Ryan's up in at Avid Extreme Sports at Oklahoma, and I made a big run, and I was out in front of, there was young kids out there, and we're pushing on his big castle that he's got there. And I made a big push. It slid into a bunker, and I was there for a little while, and then I got shot through the bunker by a lucky ball. I came out, I was like, man, I couldn't believe you got up that far. I'm like, yeah, still playing. Still run out. I'll run past the young guys and go, hey, why are you letting the old guy in front of you? And I'll keep running, So I just don't get to do it as much as I'd like. You know, I mean,
that's the downfall.
I'll get to play 3 times this year.
Wow.
And that may be more than I got to play last year. And one of those is commanding at Wayne's in December. So
Amen.
Actually, 2 of them are playing. I played at Dreaded Legends, and then I'm going up to EMR next month to run with Blue the last time he runs at EMR.
Okay.
And that's the trigger time for me this year.
Where do you see Kerry 10 years from now?
I have no idea. I keep watching Wayne and figuring, Wayne's got to retire at some point. Wayne keeps going, so I mean,
You never know.
I have no idea. I don't know how long Living Legends will go. I mean, everything runs its course. It's crazy to think anything lasts forever. But, this will go till it goes, and there'll be other fields. And, like you said, somebody could call me, and I could end up going overseas and doing something in some other country, and they think it's the best event ever. I could be doing that. Paintball could die off. I don't know. A lot of it's kind of up to the players.
Still
if the
open,
players
brother.
keep coming, I'll probably keep producing and
I like to hear that.
keep working with Pam and
If you
making
can,
little
please
baby
do.
animals. And
Okay, outstanding.
I guess interview me in 10 years and we'll see what
We'll
happens.
see. Hey, even if we're here with walkers, we'll do what we can. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you
buddy.
for Living Legends. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for showing the world what we do so well and doing it like no other, man. Like what you do with Living Legends and all of your events, they're always top notch. They're always professional. They're always challenging, and they're always freaking fun.
I owe it to the players. If they showed up this far and went through all they did to be here, the only thing I can do is give them the best game I can.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been sitting with Wolf and Viper. This has been Inside the Paintballers Studio. If you ever see this man at one of his events, go up and shake his hand. ViperPaintball.com to see everything he does. I guarantee you, you will never be disappointed. Thank you.
Booyah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Just wait for him to.
Do you want me to quiet them?
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Shut up, women.
That was subtle.
You okay, B?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have you soon. That sounds weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell Mike that.
No, I wouldn't tell Mike that either.